Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you might be on this planet of ours. Welcome to Emergency Management Associates, coming to you from the Area Command 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. We want to welcome everybody here on this great Wednesday evening. Thank you for joining us. As we've been doing for quite some time, we're going to start off tonight's program with the Pledge of Allegiance and the United States National Anthem. Would everybody please rise?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now would you make welcome, straight from Washington, D.C., the United States Army Corps Quartet.
Yeah.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Oh yeah! Come on, folks, let them know it.
The United States Barbershop Quartet, United States Army Barbershop Quartet, coming from the Barbershop Quartet Convention in 2015. We want to thank the hosts of the convention that gave us the Pledge of Allegiance, and these fine four men of the Army Barbershop Quartet that put this thing on in 2015. God bless you all. God bless all of our military members, whether they be Army or Marine, Air Force or Navy, Coast Guard, Space Force, whatever they be, and also our allies, wherever they might be, their military. God bless you all, and may you all return home to your families in safety after your tours of duty end. God bless you. Thank you so much. Folks, we have another broadcast for you tonight. I hope you're going to enjoy. This should be a lot of fun. Honestly, it should be a lot of fun. And I appreciate you all being with us tonight. We are going to be talking about an awful lot of things tonight. The first thing I want to talk about is a controversial subject. This woman right here. Okay? This woman right here. Her name is Jean-Pierre. She's a White House press secretary. Okay? What did she do today? We told you last night, and this is just kind of a follow-up to where we left off with the 4 Americans that were kidnapped in Mexico 2 of whom were killed, and the other 2 released with 1 wounded and 1 with some injuries, both transported to the hospital, and they're still there tonight. But we left that off there. Okay? Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre lied. She absolutely lied yesterday when she was confronted by a reporter about the Biden administration's handling of the border crisis. Noting that the Mexican cartels kill Americans on this side of the border with drugs, Fox News correspondent Peter Doocy asked Jean-Pierre why Biden is so comfortable with the cartels in close proximity of the United States border. The question came after the Mexican cartel kidnapped 4 Americans and killing 2 of them. Jean-Pierre responded by claiming fentanyl at the border is at historic lows. That was her first lie. Fentanyl at the border is not at historic lows. It's at an all-time high. Okay? Fentanyl seizures are breaking records in 2022 alone. U.S. authorities have seized approximately 380 million lethal doses of fentanyl, enough to kill every person in the United States and then some. And today, Border Patrol agents and Texas public safety people got another seizure this morning. Okay? More fentanyl overdoses are now the leading cause of death among U.S. adults 18 to 45. The rate of deaths from fentanyl alone in that age group is nearly 2 times that of auto accidents, according to an advocacy group about families against fentanyl. Joe Biden becoming president is the best thing that ever happened to the Mexican drug cartels. That's what Senator Ted Cruz said yesterday. Biden is the best thing that the cartels have because Biden is not doing a darn thing. Period. Okay? It's incredible. It's incredible. I want to say something else before I go on with this program tonight. Demon Catman from the east of England was the first one here tonight. And he's welcoming people. And we appreciate that. I really appreciate everybody that's here. It's a hard thing when you have a channel that's at just less than 25,000 subscribers and we come here and we have now 345 subscribers. Thank you all very much. We went from 220 to 345 subscribers at least overnight. That's incredible. And I appreciate each and every one of you. God bless you all. I love each and every one of you here. Okay? Richard Smith over in Nova Scotia is talking about they have a new thing with horse tranquilizers. Awful, awful stuff. Yes, that is a new thing. Go figure. Unreal. The next thing I want to talk about is something I consider very hard to talk about. Okay? I despise politicians. I totally despise politicians. This man is this man is Mr. McCarthy. Okay? Senator McCarthy. I'm sorry, not Senator McCarthy, Congressman McCarthy. He's a Speaker of the House. Okay? Mitch McConnell, who's over in the Senate, Senator from Kentucky, he also lied today. After Tucker Carlson got through putting out a second video last night about the January 6th episode, Mitch McConnell got on the air during a press conference this afternoon and lambasted Tucker Carlson and Fox News for letting Tucker Carlson do it, as if shutting up the media doesn't make it right. shutting up the media will not stop the truth from coming out. Okay? Now, McCarthy here is the one person who helped Tucker Carlson get the information, get the videos. But if there ever was an illustration of the reason to remove rhinos, Republicans in name only, from the political representation of the people, this is it. Mitch McConnell, and he's an elderly man, I understand, but this guy is a dyed-in-the-wool traitor to the country. Mitch McConnell has fleshed it out. He is a communist, just like the regular Democrats are. Mitch McConnell's lack of courage and support of the video evidence on his part relating to the January 6th episode screams his lack of support of the people of this nation. Mitch McConnell, who's supposed to be a Republican, he said it didn't happen. There was nothing but violence. Those videos that were showed by Tucker Carlson were false. Really? Really? He said there was nothing but violence on January 6th. It was an insurrection. No kidding? Prove it. Prove it. Okay? I showed you part of those videos. Only a small part. In tonight's program again, I have 2 different videos from Fox News here. You can see it yourself. Okay? It's incredible. Then, go figure, responding to a CNN reporter. CNN reporter Manu Raju. Yes, Manu Raju. Yeah, from CNN. Mr. McCarthy here was asked whether he regrets giving Carlson the tapes, accusing the Fox News host of using the footage to whitewash what happened on January 6, 2021. McCarthy was clear when he does not. He does not regret having given Tucker Carlson those videos. Over 40,000 hours of tape. No, the California Republican responded, no, I don't. I said at the very beginning, transparency. And so what I wanted to produce for everybody is exactly what I said. People can actually look at it and see what's gone on that day. When the reporter asked McCarthy if he agrees with Carlson's reporting, McCarthy responded, each person can come up with their own conclusion. That's when McCarthy zeroed in on CNN for allegedly exposing the secret location where the congressional delegation had fled on January 6th. CNN, the Communist News Network, told everybody throughout the world where the congressmen and the senators were taken. I just want to make sure that I had transparency because I know CNN. I had here where you guys actually wrote where we were. Yes, CNN broadcast it. McCarthy said this was a secret location, Fort McNair. I don't know if you got concerned about that. I don't even know from a point of view of security if we could ever be taken there again. Because CNN put it out. CNN should be taken down and slapped. The reporters that did that should be horsewhipped. Yes. You don't violate security protocol. You don't tell where our senators and our congressmen and other staff members were taken. But when you broke that on CNN, that was a real concern to a lot of people, referring to transparency in the media. Interestingly, McCarthy also revealed that he consulted the Capitol Police before he released the tapes to ensure sensitive material was not released. He said the Capitol Police only raised concern about one piece of footage, which was protected before it was released. On the other hand, the Capitol Police told McCarthy that the January 6th committee did not consult. The January 6th committee did not consult with the agency before it released the footage. Look at that. The January 6th committee was a horse show. Okay? Adam Schiff, Nancy Pelosi, and all the other Democrats there put on a horse show. They only showed parts of the footage that showed any kind of uproar going on. And that uproar happened out on the green grass of the national monuments. It did not show people coming into the Capitol building and that were behaving respectably. Last October, CNN exclusively reported the congressional leadership had established a command center at Fort McNair, Washington, publishing additional footage not shown by the January 6th committee. CNN. The committee had shown footage of lawmakers gathering there, but the committee did not disclose the exact location. Instead, it labeled the footage as having taken place at an undisclosed location, according to CNN. And then CNN broadcast the location. Go figure. Okay? But the Senate leadership of McConnell said that Tucker Carlson should be horsewhipped. That he shouldn't have done what he did. Because McConnell is a rhino. McConnell doesn't care about anyone in this country. He cares about himself. It's incredible. Al Sanchez, my friend from Los Angeles, is here. Thank you for being here, buddy. Appreciate it. Anyway, guys, we have a lot of people here. We appreciate that too. I want to go on tonight. We have a lot more to talk about. Before I go on, there was another train derailment today. Guess where it was? Out in West Virginia. A CSX train derailed by a West Virginia rock slide, causing a diesel fuel spill. CSX says one of its empty coal trains had derailed today after striking a rock slide in West Virginia, causing a fire and spillage of an unknown quantity of diesel fuel and oil from one of its locomotives. The incident happened just before 5 a.m. in what state officials described as a somewhat remote area of South Sandstone, inside the New River National Park and Reserve. The derailment injured 3 crew members, caused part of the train to catch fire, and sent at least 1 locomotive and 1 fuel tank into the New River. The West Virginia Emergency Management Division said in a statement, adding that the public water systems downstream and local health departments have been notified. CSX said the crew members are being treated for non-life-threatening injuries, and preliminary information indicates that all 4 of the train's locomotives and 9 empty coal cars derailed. All 4 of the train's locomotives and 9 empty coal cars derailed in the derailment. An unknown quantity of diesel fuel and oil spilled from the derailed locomotives, and environmental measures are being deployed in the New River for containment. There were no hazardous materials being transported by this train. The incident posed no danger to the public. CSX also said, quote, "We greatly appreciate the swift action of the local first responders in Sandstone that rendered aid to our valued crew members." The Emergency Management Division said CSX owns 12 feet from either side of the middle of the track. In other words, a total of 24 feet on either side of the railroad, either side of the rails. Okay, so that is what CSX is going to have to clean up. The company is sending a spill response unit and will coordinate with the West Virginia Department of Environmental Protection on mitigation and remediation efforts in the New River area. Okay? Now, with that said, there's a little bit more that you need to know. Not by this CSX train derailment, but train derailments overall. I have additional information for you that I want to show you right now. I did a lot of research today. I spent a great deal of time putting out getting more information for you in regards to this. This is very important. Okay? We've talked about an emergency over in East Palestine. What I'm going to tell you about train derailments, it'll probably blow your mind tonight. Literally. Okay? I'm not kidding. This is very concerning. If any of you have been following me at all, you're going to understand one thing. What has been going on is not acceptable. It's not acceptable. And not just that. Train maintenance and rail maintenance has gone away because the railroads want to make more money. So they haven't been putting out more money to make sure the rails are safe and to make sure their trains are safe. Okay? They put off maintenance. Just like PG&E did several years ago when their power lines and their transformers on their power poles were lighting fires. Yeah, lighting fires. And after that, they declared bankruptcy to avoid getting billed for all the firefighting capability that was exercised to put out the fires. And right after they declared bankruptcy, they paid, and this is Pacific Gas and Electric in Northern California, Sonoma County. PG&E paid their executives multi-million-dollar bonuses. Rather than putting that money, that extra money that they had earned, into replacing old equipment and old power lines, they gave their management team bonuses. Okay? This is what I believe is happening with the railroads. Okay? It's crazy. Train derailment sabotaged. Washington oil train derailment. Okay? This was in December 2022. 7 train cars carrying crude oil derailed and 5 caught fire in Custer, Washington last December. 7 train cars carrying crude oil derailed, 5 caught fire, sending a large plume of black smoke into the sky, close to the Canadian border. There were no injuries in the derailment, about 100 miles north of Seattle. KUOW reports that an official with the union representing the driver has told authorities that the derailment was not an accident. The derailment was not an accident. We know from the FBI investigation about how trains operate, how trains work, how the couplers work, how the pin lifters work, that this incident was caused without a doubt by sabotage. Sabotage. And I believe this is exactly what happened in East Palestine, Ohio. Sabotage. Sabotage, and I believe the rails had something to do with it. Okay? Corey McDaniel, in this case, in Washington. Corey McDaniel with the Union safety team told Burlington Northern Santa Fe Railway investigators, according to a hearing transcript obtained by the radio station, the incident happened near where two people had been arrested a month before and accused of attempting a terrorist attack on train tracks to disrupt plans for a natural gas pipeline. A natural gas pipeline. The cause of the derailment was officially declared. The FBI, the Federal Railroad Administration, and the National Transportation Safety Board finished their inquiries. A woman was convicted of sabotaging railroad tracks near the U.S.-Canadian border in Washington, just before a train carrying crude oil was due to pass through. She was sentenced to 12 months and 1 day in prison. 12 months and 1 day in prison. Interesting. Ellen Brennan Reiki, 28, of Bellingham, Washington, was sentenced in U.S. District Court for the Western District of Washington in Seattle for committing an act of violence against a railroad carrier. In addition to prison time, she must also complete 100 hours of community service while on federal supervision. While on federal supervision. Okay? It's interesting that she was sentenced to prison time, 12 months and 1 day. So she's still in jail. And yet, when somebody wants to sabotage a train in Ohio or anywhere else, all they have to do is tamper with the tracks. And I believe that's exactly what happened over in Ohio. Now, 2 people were on board the 108-car train headed for North Dakota to the Ferndale refinery owned by Phillips 66. The month before that derailment, federal authorities in Seattle charged 2 people with a terrorist attack on train tracks, saying they placed shunts on Burlington Northern Santa Fe's tracks. Shunts consist of a wire strung across the tracks, mimicking the electrical signal of a train. The devices cause trains to automatically brake and can disable railroad crossing guards. The FBI's Joint Terrorism Task Force had said that there had been dozens of such cases involving Burlington Northern Santa Fe tracks. Home to 5 oil refineries, Washington State sees millions of gallons of crude oil moved by rail through their state each week. Millions of gallons of crude oil each week move through the state of Washington, mostly coming from North Dakota, along with some from Alberta and Saskatchewan, Canada. It's interesting, guys. Rail freight industry under scrutiny after ecological disaster in East Palestine, Ohio. The rail freight industry is under scrutiny. Now, I have to ask, how many train derailments have there been in the United States in 2023? I posted this up on the top of our screen. The Bureau of Transportation Statistics records 54,539 derailments from 1990 to 2021. That's an average of 1,704 train derailments per year. The Ohio train derailment on 3 February, in which cars from a 150-car freight train carrying toxic chemicals crashed and went off the tracks in East Palestine, Ohio. Okay? This is just one of more than a dozen rail accidents reported to have already taken place here in the United States in 2023. Already a dozen railroad accidents. And this is just about a month and a half long. Or excuse me, 2.5 months long. The accident was not even the first to have occurred in Ohio this year, with another derailment having taken place on January 19th between Trinway and Adams Mill, Ohio. In that incident, an Ohio Central Railroad train composed of 97 cars stretching for 1.2 miles long slid off the rails. Slid off the rails. Although they were empty at the time, so there was no leakage of cargo and no one was hurt in that derailment. A thorough investigation into the cause is still underway. A corporate spokesman told the Zanesville Times-Recorder in its aftermath, adding that he expected his crew to have the cars upright and the scene cleared within a week. Interesting. Within a week. Since the East Palestine incident, another derailment has occurred in the same state, involving the same company, Norfolk Southern, which had just seen unwanted publicity to die down after the great big huge fire and accident over in Clark County. Okay? This one is near the fairgrounds in Springfield, Ohio, on March 4th. Okay? The third one in Ohio. This time, and we showed you video of this from somebody that had it on their cell phone. This time there was no hazardous chemicals on board, according to Ohio Governor Mike DeWine, but residents living nearby were asked to shelter in place out of an abundance of caution while the disaster was addressed. Interesting. Interesting. You would evacuate people within 1,000 feet of the train wreck. 1,000 feet of the train wreck. Why would you do that? Why would anyone do that? It blows my mind, guys. It literally blows my mind that these people can even think of doing that. 1,000 feet. That's not far at all. Okay? Look at that. Let me make it smaller so you can see the disaster here. Literally. Okay? I want everybody to understand what happened here in Springfield, Ohio. Look at that. Car upon car. Car next to car. These railroad cars were empty. That orange car you see there with with gray sides on it, that is an automobile carrier. That could have been a triple-decker automobile carrier right there. Meaning it could have been carrying 3 levels of automobiles. Okay? That's about 30 cars. 30 gas-powered automobiles. Just in that car alone. Can you imagine if this thing had been loaded? Okay? I have other pictures I could show you of this accident. Cars sitting on top of other cars. I showed you how this accident happened. Right at the intersection with the railroad and the street. Fortunately, there were no automobiles with families and people inside that could have been crushed by these cars. It's interesting that nothing happened. It's very interesting that nothing happened here. I'm kind of blown away. Okay? State Senator Sherrod Brown said that the new incident makes clear that the railroad company's greed and incompetence takes precedence over safety. The greed and incompetence of the railroads takes precedence over safety. On February 13th, Newsweek counted no further than 3 further accidents. No fewer than 3 further accidents in South Carolina alone. That was this year. 3 in February in South Carolina. Near Lake City on 9 January. Near Loris on January 25th. Another near Inori on February 12th, as well as 2 in rural California, 1 each in metropolitan Detroit and Philadelphia, and others in Alabama, Alaska, Louisiana, and Texas. And I should say also 1 in Michigan, near Detroit. We talked about that one. A Union Pacific train has since derailed in Gothenburg, Nebraska on February 21st. An accident that followed 3 in the same area involving coal trains in 2022. It was the East Palestine incident that cast new light on America's underreported railroad sector and the challenges that it faces, inspiring a media storm and competing visits from Donald Trump and Transportation Secretary Peter Buttigieg, as Norfolk and Southern and the federal government were bombarded with criticism regarding the cleanup. The accident occurred shortly after 9 p.m. on Friday, February 3rd, when 38 Norfolk Southern train cars crashed off the rails as a result of what investigators have later determined was mechanical failing. 10 of which were transporting hazardous materials cross-country. There were people that have been harmed. More than 2,000 East Palestine residents that were out of approximately 4,800 that were initially temporarily evacuated. 2,000 East Palestine residents out of 4,800 people had to be initially evacuated from East Palestine due to health concerns that arose from that chemical spill. As part of the cleanup operation, 5 of the tankers containing vinyl chloride, a compound used to make plastic pipe, wires, cable coating, car parts, and packaging, which can cause cancer, had to be intentionally breached by emergency crews. Can I say again, intentionally breached? Intentionally breached, guys. That means the crews blew off the bottom of those tanker cars to drain the toxic substance vinyl chloride into the man-made trench. And then they set it on fire. They set it all on fire, guys. I showed you what happened. This is a blurred picture of that very same wreck. A horrific wreck that sent a smoke plume thousands of feet into the air. A toxic plume with dioxin and benzene and vinyl chloride and vinyl chlorate acrylate, I should say, vinyl acrylate, toxic chemicals. Then, what happened? Someone came to call there in East Palestine to help the people. Erin Brockovich came in. And now she has been labeled a terrorist. Okay? She has been labeled a terrorist because she came in to help the people investigate what happened here. After emergency crews intentionally breached those tanker cars and diverted that substance into an excavated trench and carried out a controlled burn, supposedly to prevent an explosion, sending noxious black clouds billowing into the atmosphere, further spreading the chemical. It wasn't good enough. It wasn't good enough to spread the chemical into the groundwater and the soil, but they put it into the atmosphere as well, blowing east and northeast. About 10 states now have suffered pollution as a result of this event. Okay? Then, after all of that, 2 days went by, and they invited the evacuated residents back. They allowed them to return home after the EPA and the Ohio Department of Natural Resources monitoring air and water contaminants since the accident. The detected levels that are not significant to cause lasting health impact. Really, they did it on purpose because they were not testing for dioxin. They were not testing for vinyl chloride. They were not testing for vinyl acrylate and benzene. Okay? They said they detected levels that are not significant to cause lasting health impacts, which is a false statement. The officials have not been testing for the right chemicals. Now, Norfolk Southern has started to pay some residents of East Palestine to evacuate the area. I've seen the news reports. But that has not done much to reassure the other locals, some of whom nevertheless have reported symptoms such as runny noses, sore throats, headaches, chemical burns, and rashes on their body since this happened. And then an estimated 3,500 fish have died, as well as thousands others of animals and farm animals. Pets and farm animals have turned up dead in surrounding waters as well. Rail accidents like this are actually relatively common in the United States, although the consequences are seldom this dramatic. The Bureau of Transportation Statistics records 54,539 train derailments between 1990 and 2021. That is an average of 1,004 per year. 1,704 per year. Isn't that interesting? Now, while that might sound like a lot, the fatality rate from such incidents is low, averaging just 4 deaths per year over the same period. 4 deaths per year from 1990 to 2021. 4 deaths per year. Rail experts have argued that the East Palestine crash was the inevitable result of compromised safety standards and reduced workforces, part of an effort to boost rail company profits. Greed. Greed, ladies and gentlemen. Greed won't buy you a sandwich on the open market. Stephen Dittmeyer, who is a former top official at the Federal Railroad Administration, which I will refer to as the FRA, said that the severity of the crash that may have been aggravated by the lack of electronically controlled pneumatic ECP brakes. Electronically controlled pneumatic brakes. ECP, remember that. Which by all reports and findings would not have made a difference in this accident. It still would have happened in this particular accident. Former U.S. President Barack Obama passed legislation making it mandatory for trains carrying hazardous flammable materials to have ECP brakes, but the order was rescinded in 2017 under a Trump administration assault on red tape. But it wasn't Trump's fault. The media and the Democrat Communist Party here in the United States is blaming it on Trump. But it's already been proven, and it's been stated by the National Railroad Association and the FRA, the Federal Railroad Administration, that the ECP brakes would not have made a difference with this train. It had nothing to do with brakes. The National Transportation Safety Board has confirmed that the trains that were derailed at East Palestine were not equipped with ECP brakes. The Railroad Workers Union has meanwhile argued that a management practice adopted by railroad companies called precision scaled railroading, which organizes freight scheduling based on individual cars rather than considering the balance of the train as a whole. This may have played a role that could have contributed to further accidents by sidelining safety concerns. Yeah. Ian Jeffries, who's head of the Association of American Railroads trade group, has moved to reassure the public that the safety of chemical freight by insisting that 99.9% of all hazardous materials shipments reach their destinations safely. 99.9% of all hazardous materials shipments reach their destinations safely. Isn't that interesting? Okay? This isn't done. The reporting on this event is not over. Every time we turn our back here, every time we bat our eyes, there seems to have been another railroad accident. We've gotten lucky. The accident in Michigan caused more problems. Okay? Caused more problems. This incident caused more problems. The incident down in South Carolina caused more problems. The incident in Texas caused more problems. Not as many problems as the East Palestine event, but it caused more problems. Okay? We've had a lot of them lately. Even the event here with the Norfolk Southern Railroad just north of where I live. It spilled a bunch of corn in a field. It had open rail cars full of corn, and they derailed and spilled the shipment of corn into a field. Incredible. Blew my mind. God. You can't make it up. You can't make this stuff up. This is nuts. This is really nuts. Anyway, let's move on. I'm going to talk about the New Madrid fault in just a few minutes, but I want to show you this. This is Tanaga Volcano over just west of Adak, Alaska. Tanaga Volcano. Today, they increased the warning on Tanaga Volcano. because it began to increase seismic activity slowly starting about 1:30 p.m. today, and roughly at 8:45 p.m. yesterday evening, guess what? The activity escalated with earthquakes occurring 2 or 3 earthquakes per minute at Tanaga Volcano. Initial locations of these earthquakes placed them at shallow depths beneath the summit of Tanaga Volcano. And the largest of these earthquakes had a magnitude between 2 and 3 on the Richter scale. In response to this increase in seismicity, the Alaska Volcano Observatory is raising the aviation color code to yellow and the volcanic alert level to advisory. Tanaga Volcano is monitored with local seismic and infrared sound network, and regional infrasound and lightning detection and satellite data. They have satellites in the air over there that can look almost down the throat of the volcano now. Okay? Now, let me show you where Tanaga Volcano is. Let me do this. I want you to see where Tanaga Volcano is. Right there in the middle of your screen here, you see Tanaga Volcano. Okay? This is just west of Adak, over here in the western Aleutian Islands. Okay? Tanaga Volcano. Okay? It lies in the Andreanof Island region, about 62 miles or 100 kilometers west of the community of Adak, and 2,025 kilometers or 1,260 miles southwest of Anchorage. The northern half of the island is home to the Tanaga Volcanic Complex, comprising 3 main volcanic edifices, and the Tanaga Volcano is the tallest of these structures, upwards of 5,925 feet high, and it lies in the center of the complex. The last reported eruption of Tanaga occurred in 1914, and earlier eruptions were reported in 1763, 1770, 1791, and 1829. Now, Tanaga Volcano's had other times where it has steamed, where it has not erupted, but it has steamed. And that latest was last year. Okay? Reports of these eruptions are vague because those are old. Nobody that's alive right now has seen it or heard about it. But deposits on the flanks of the volcano show that typical eruptions produce blocky lava. Blocky lava. That is lava that's thrown out of the volcano when it erupts. Blocky lava flow and occasional ash clouds. Occasional ash clouds. Okay? So that's possibly what we will see when this volcano erupts again. But like I said, right now they're averaging 2 to 3 earthquakes per minute underneath this volcano. That usually means that there's going to be an eruption. Okay? So I wanted to put this out to you. Again, they've raised the alert level in the air to yellow and advisory level on the ground. Okay? There's 3 different volcanoes in that complex. Right? So that's what's going on there. Let's go over to New Madrid. This is an entirely different situation. These are earthquakes right in the middle of the United States. Right in the middle of the United States. Before we go any further, let me show you the USGS map so you can have a good idea of where these earthquakes are happening and what is going on. Okay? Again, this is San Francisco Bay that we have right here. This is an automatic thing with USGS. They take us right here as soon as we sign on here. Okay, let's go over here to the New Madrid Fault. Those earthquakes that you see here in these yellow dots here, those are over in Oklahoma. Okay, this is in Kremlin, Oklahoma. It's a 1.4. This one here is a 1.3 quarry blast. A quarry blast near Owasso, Oklahoma. I just love these things. Let's go take an exploration. Let's go exploring this here quarry blast. This here quarry blast. Okay, let's just go see where this quarry blast is. Okay. Well, it looks to me, guys, that this quarry blast is off in a field. Okay, right next to a highway. Look at that. There just happens to be 2 lanes in each direction here. Also, look what it's near. It's near an airport. Do you think the airport would allow quarry blasts right near it that would disrupt flights from possibly flying material when a blast would happen? I don't think so. This was not a quarry blast. This was an earthquake. This is a 1.3 earthquake. Okay? This was no quarry blast. We reported on this before. Okay? Look where the airport is. Okay? That's not a quarry blast. And it's right between 2 freeways, 2 highways, and an industrial park. Look at that. There's an industrial park over there. And this also may be part of the airport. It looks like it might. So anyway, I don't think that there would be a quarry blast between 2 airports and an industrial area. Okay? So again, the USGS has their heads up their butts. Okay? They're declaring a quarry blast in a place there's no quarry blast. They're not using their head. Anyway, over here to the east of there. Okay? I'm in the center of your screen here, in the center of this slide. You see the New Madrid Fault. It stretches from the Gulf of Mexico all the way up here to the Great Lakes. All the way up here to the Great Lakes. So guys, let's go take a look at all these earthquakes. And let's let you see what's actually going on. Okay? Yes, there are earthquakes around the globe today. And there were some rather large earthquakes around the globe. We'll get to that in a little while. Okay? But I want to show you what's happening on the New Madrid Fault. Wonderful thing, huh? Wonderful thing. This is Brewton, Alabama. We're going to start tonight in Alabama. Okay? Brewton, Alabama. This is a seismogram that happened this morning. This seismogram happened this morning. Okay? Let me enlarge it so you can truly appreciate what we're seeing here. Okay? What you're seeing is actual micro, or not, there are some microquakes here, but these are tremors. Okay? You can see the buildup of seismic energy here. The buildup of seismic energy starts way over here on the left-hand side. On this red line, this is 2:15 this morning on the left. Okay? The buildup in seismic energy takes place at just 12:16 this morning. Excuse me, 2:16 this morning. 2:16 this morning. And the seismic buildup is very slight. Just 1.1 tremors at first, then 1.2, and 1.3, and 1.4. Okay? The largest part of this seismic buildup is just barely tremors. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 6.5 minutes of tremors, and then it starts dissipating. Okay? And you can see these tremor buildups all morning long. Okay? This is in Alabama. This is on the eastern side of the New Madrid, where you would not expect a lot of earthquakes. But we have had earthquakes here in Bruton, Alabama. And this seismic energy, these tremors continued this afternoon as well. Just like this. Okay? Exactly like this. Now, I want to start over in Arkansas. We're going to cross on the western side of the Mississippi, on the western side of the New Madrid. We're going to go over to Arkansas. Good old Arkansas. Okay? We're going to start here, and I'm going to take you to Tyronza, Arkansas. Tyronza, Arkansas. This is just south of Jonesboro. Okay? This is probably 100 miles south of Jonesboro. Okay? We're seeing mostly tremors. But guess what, guys? There are earthquakes here as well. Okay? We had one tremor this morning. That one tremor was about a 1.6, 1.7 tremor. This one was after 2:42 this morning. 1.6, 1.7 tremor. Then it was fairly quiet, with hit and miss 1.2, 1.3 after that. Then, what happens? What happens? Just after 6:15 this morning, almost 6:20 a.m. this morning, just before 6:20, there was a 3.2 magnitude earthquake here. A 3.2 magnitude earthquake here in central southeastern central eastern Arkansas, or east central Arkansas. Look at that earthquake. That's like a 3.2, maybe even a 3.3 earthquake. And you can see these other earthquakes here, okay, on the black line to the right of that. Okay, this one happened at 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This happened at 7:09 a.m. this morning. Again, this appears to be a 3.0 earthquake, 3.2 earthquake. Okay? Then it goes down. Okay? Now, before I show you everything here, okay, before I move on, I'm going to enlarge this even larger here, because I want to show you what happened. It just was not one quake. Look at the shaking here. There's at least 3 lines here. 3 long lines here. This means there were 3 earthquakes, back to back to back. Each happened about a second long. 3 separate earthquakes, back to back to back. Then the 4th, after that to the right. And I believe that 4th, there was 2 of them. So now we have 5 earthquakes about the same size. Isn't that interesting, guys? But look at this one. Look at that one on the left on the green. Okay? This happened just before 8 o'clock. This was 7:59 a.m. This is another 3.2 earthquake. There are several of them today. Okay? I'm seeing at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 3.0 earthquakes. There's a bunch of tremors, and there's also 2.0 minor earthquakes here as well. So we have minor earthquakes and small earthquakes here. This is Arkansas. This is just Arkansas. Okay? And we're just beginning. We're just barely beginning. Let me continue to show you what's going on here. You need to know. Now, north of Tyronza, there is another town. It's called Truman. It's just north of Tyronza. This is Truman, Arkansas. Look what we have here, ladies and gentlemen. We have those earthquakes again. Long duration earthquakes, long duration seismic activity. Okay? We have tremors that build up to 2.0 earthquakes right here just after 1 a.m. this morning. About 1:03 a.m. this morning. Okay? We have tremors that build up to a 2.0 earthquake. Then they diminish. Then we come over to 1:04 a.m. this morning. Just after that, what happens? This, folks, is at least a 2.9, 3.0 earthquake here. And then the seismic activity diminishes, but it diminishes over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes. 5 minutes, the seismic activity diminishes. That's called a secondary wave. Then after that, it turns into a body wave. That seismic energy goes on for 1, 2, 3, 4, 4.5 minutes. Okay? So the total length of time of this quake turns out to be about 9 minutes long. 9 minutes long. Look at the other quakes here as well. We have another good seismic activity here. Okay? On the red line that's on the left-hand side, it's 7:15. Over on this side, this one is like 7:28 a.m. Prior to that 7:28, we have tremors, we have minor 2.0 earthquakes. Then this one builds into what looks like a 2.8, 2.9 earthquake. Then it diminishes again. Here on the red line, that diminish takes place over 2 minutes. Then it turns into a body wave. That body wave continues to happen for another 4 minutes. Okay? Then they're just very minor, tiny shaking. Not even microquake. Then it starts building into another 1.0 tremor. It doesn't amount to much of anything there. Okay? Then it's quiet for a while. Go figure. Then we have another earthquake sequence starting. This one starts about 7, I want to say this starts about 7:28. No, I'm sorry, that's not true. About 7:43 a.m. this morning. Some tiny tremors, and it takes another 2 minutes to build into larger tremors, 1.4, 1.5, into 1.7, 1.8, into 2.0 activity. On that green line on the left-hand side. Okay? And actually it's not 7 either, it's 3:45 here on the green line on the left. Okay? Look at that. We've got 2.0 and even probably up to 2.7 magnitude earthquake, minor earthquakes. Then it diminishes again. The secondary wave turns out to be almost 4 minutes long. Then it turns into a body wave. and it goes out. Then on the black line, okay, the black line here is 4 a.m. 4 a.m. Then it goes out here to about the middle of this black line. This is about 4:10 a.m. 4:09, 4:10 a.m. Again, we have minor tremors building into probably a 1.7 tremor. Then it dissipates. This goes on for some time. Okay, on the red line, there's no activity. On the blue line, there's no activity to the end of the blue line here on the right-hand side. Again, it builds in from very tiny tremors up into a bigger tremor. And then it continues on this green line. This, folks, is 4:45 over on the left-hand side. Okay? In this case, this does not get up to a 2.0 sequence. These are just minor tremors. And they continue. Okay? This, folks, is still Arkansas. This is Truman, Arkansas. Truman, Arkansas. North of Truman, there's a place that we have been to before. It's called Mark Tree, Arkansas. This is directly south of Jonesboro, like we had told you before. All these cities are south of Jonesboro. This is the closest city here to Jonesboro. This is just barely south of Jonesboro, Mark Tree, Arkansas. The scientists here have not portrayed anything here. They have not given us any information in a couple months. None. Mark Tree, Arkansas, we had seismograms showing things that Bombay Beach had showed. 3.0, 3.5 magnitude earthquakes here in Mark Tree, Arkansas. But scientists here are not showing us anything. Okay? You can see these black, red, blue, and green lines here, just barely moving, showing absolutely no seismic activity at all. Then, what do? They turn the seismograph off. In this case, this seismograph was turned off this afternoon just after 5:30 p.m. Okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, almost 5 minutes after 5:30. Just before 5:35 this afternoon. They turned it completely off. Go figure. This is all they've been showing for weeks now. Absolutely no activity whatsoever. They don't want to admit there's anything going on. This is Mark Tree, Arkansas this morning. Absolutely nothing there. They don't want to admit anything. We started showing the activity and then they took it off. We'd been showing activity for about a year now, and they took it off because they don't give a darn about anybody. They really don't. They don't care. It's obvious. They don't give a darn. Let's go up near the Great Lakes. Let's go up to Illinois. I want to show you what's going on in Illinois. Look at this. Folks, this is Stronghurst, Illinois. Okay? On the blue line, on the left-hand side, this blue line is 12:30 this morning. Over on this side, this happens to be about 12:43 a.m. this morning. We have a 3.0 earthquake. A 3.0 earthquake. It lasted for maybe 2 or 3 seconds. Then it dissipated fast. You can see it here. Then there's really nothing going on until we get to this green line. On the left-hand side, this green line is 12:45. So we move over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 minutes. Okay? In this case, this is 12:52 a.m. this morning. We have another 3.0 earthquake. Stronghurst, Illinois. Stronghurst, Illinois. Let's show you some other activity here. Look at this, guys. Okay? Let me raise this up here so you can truly see what's going on. Okay? This blue line is 10:30 over on the left-hand side. But we come over here. Okay? Now we're at 10:43, almost 10:44 this morning, and we have another 3.0 earthquake. Again, this lasts for a couple seconds, 3 seconds, maybe 4 seconds. But it lasts for a little while. And then it gets quiet. Okay? We have a little bit of tremors on the green line over here on the left-hand side, which is 10:45. The tremors can continue for just after a minute. Okay? 10:45 to about 10:46. Then it quiets down. It quiets down all the way over to the right, and then we come over to 11 a.m. this morning. All of a sudden we have some tremors building up, and these tremors build up rapidly. Within less than a minute and a half, all of a sudden we have a 2.0 earthquake. Then it dissipates, then it builds again. All of a sudden we have another 3.0 earthquake. Another 3.0 earthquake. Okay? So how many earthquakes do we want to have here? We've had here 4 3.0 earthquakes today, just in this area alone. 2 early this morning and 2 later this morning. Okay? This is in Illinois. This is on the northern part of the New Madrid Fault. The northern part of the New Madrid Fault. Isn't this interesting? Let's look at Stronghurst this afternoon. Almost nothing. All we see here are very minor tremors. 1.2, 1.3 tremors, and that's all. And those happened relatively later this afternoon. This first one up here towards the top here, okay, this one happened after about 2:53 p.m. this afternoon. These others, these were after 5 p.m. this afternoon. Okay? Relatively nothing this afternoon. But I want to show you those small earthquakes in Illinois. This is just the beginning, guys. Let's take a look at Indiana. Indiana, guys. Look at this. Ignore this jumble of crap here to the right. From the top to the bottom of this crap on the right, ignore that. That's trash. That's nothing but trash. The good information is at the bottom of this seismogram here that I'm going to show you. Look at all these earthquakes here. Okay? New Harmony, Indiana. New Harmony, Indiana. This is I believe this is a southern part of Indiana. Okay? Look at that. Look at all those 3.0 earthquakes this morning. Look at all those 3.0 earthquakes this morning. Even 11 o'clock this morning. Okay? The bottom of that black line at 11 o'clock on the left-hand side. The bottom of it is covered up by the other earthquakes after that. Okay? I believe we either had some small minor tremors and minor earthquakes, 2.0, 2.3, 2.4, and that's all, or at 11 o'clock we even had some threes, but the color is covering it up. The color of the reds, the blues, and the greens after that. Okay, the red being 11:15, the blue being 11:30, and the greens being 11:45. But look at these earthquakes on the 11:30 blue line. Okay, that's what I'm concerned about. These are all earthquakes. Almost every one of them are earthquakes. Yes, there's some minor tremors here. Okay? Between 10 o'clock this morning and 12 noon today, New Harmony, Indiana got smacked around. That other stuff is garbage. It's trash. It makes it look like there was a bunch of tremors here, doesn't it? But it's nothing but trash. It's unreal what these agencies will do. Okay? Let me show you something else. This is New Harmony, Indiana this afternoon. Again, you can pick out the trash. You can see when the trash is there. We still had a lot of seismic activity here in New Harmony, Indiana. Look at that. Yes, at the top line on the black line. That's after 12 noon today. 11 over at 12 noon on the left-hand side on the top. The black line. But as we get it over here towards the middle, all of a sudden, these are 2.5 to 3.0 earthquakes. Again, they go off the paper here, and we can't totally see the bottom of these quakes because of the color of the seismic activity after that. So these may be close to 3.0 earthquakes as well. Okay? Look at all this activity all over. On the blue line after that. The blue line over on the left-hand side is 12:30. As we go over to the right, we have some good-sized earthquakes, even at the beginning. Okay? Just before 12:31, it looks like we have at least a 2.8 earthquake. Minor earthquake. Then it dissipates and it's just tremors all the way across until we have more earthquakes. And over here, over on the right-hand side on the blue line there, that could be a 3.0 earthquake. It reaches quite high, doesn't it? And it probably reached really low as well. Could be a 3.0 earthquake. But what I'm showing you here is there's a ton of seismic energy here. Regardless of what the agency does to destroy the seismogram. We still see a lot of seismic activity here in Indiana. This is incredible, guys. This is really something. Then I want to go over to Evansville. Southern Indiana University in Evansville. That's where this takes place. Okay? You see a bunch of zigzag lines here. Try to ignore those. Okay? Those are earthquakes that took place in the South Pacific today. We had some 6.0s, we had some large 5s. Okay? That's what those are about. Okay? But the rest of this, these are all tremors. Just minor tremors here in Evansville, Indiana. Okay, I'm going to show you Evansville this afternoon. Look at this. Nothing more than seismic tremors. Okay? A few more tremors, but just seismic tremors here. Nothing more than that. Let me show you some more earthquakes. Okay. I want to go to Kansas now. Let's go west to Kansas. Okay. We don't normally show you Kansas, do we? We've been seeing some earthquakes that USGS has identified in Kansas. Not today, because they didn't show any. This happens to be a 2.0 earthquake this morning. Okay? This is at approximately 11:28 this morning. Or just before 11:28 this morning. This is like a 2.0, 2.1 tremor. Okay? Here on these seismograms, we don't usually show this because it shows nothing. Nothing but almost empty lines. This time we get to see a tremor here. Let me show you something here. Okay. There's that one in Kansas. Now, okay, I want to go down to Missouri now. Good old Missouri. I just love Missouri, guys. Look at this. This is Portageville, Missouri. Okay, this is this morning. And this is just one seismogram from Portageville, Missouri. I have another at a different location in Portageville, Missouri. This is showing nothing but tremors here. This is showing nothing but tremors. Wait till I show you this other one. This is unreal. I didn't think I would see this here in Portageville. I really didn't. This is crazy, guys. This is really crazy. Let me show you this one. Okay? This one's just a little bit different from a different location in Portageville. Okay? Up at the top of this is midnight. Okay? Then we drop down to 3:15 this morning on the left-hand side. We move over here to the right. This is about 3:25 this morning. Okay? We have some tremors building up before that, don't we? Then all of a sudden we get in some heavy-duty tremors here. Look at that. About 1 minute and 45 seconds worth of tremors here. Not quite 2.0 earthquakes, but these are all tremors here for 1 minute and 45 seconds. Then it calms down and all we have is some minor hit and miss minor tremors. Nothing more than that. Maybe a bunch of microquakes here as well. But look what we have here at just after 11:45 this morning, just before noon. Okay, look at this. This is about 11:58 this morning. Okay, look at that. First, it's just some minor tremor activity. Then it lessens down to some very tiny tremors. Then it builds up again into 1.5, 1.6 tremors. It builds into bigger tremors than that. All of a sudden we have 2.0 earthquake. Minor earthquake activity, right? Then it turns into something bigger here. Even up to and including a 3.0 earthquake. It goes off the paper here. Completely off the paper here at Portageville, Missouri here. Okay? How long does this earthquake sequence last? In this case, it first started back here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This would be at 11:53, 54 this morning. Okay? About a 6-minute sequence, and the largest earthquakes were lasting 3 minutes. Okay? We started seeing 1.5, 1.6, and then all of a sudden it turns into 2.0 and full-blown 3.0 earthquakes. Okay? This is Portageville, Missouri this morning. Let's show you what happened this afternoon. Look at this, guys. Look at this afternoon. That same earthquake lasted near a full 30 seconds after that. So now we have nearly 3 minutes worth of earthquake activity. Nearly 3 minutes full earthquake activity. Then it calms down. The secondary wave continues out here into a body wave. And then that continues for another minute and 10 seconds. Then it calms down and then it builds up to another 2.8, 2.9 magnitude earthquake on the red line here. Over on the left, this red line would be 12:15 this afternoon, wouldn't it? Over here, now this is 12:20, maybe even 12:25 this morning. I'm sorry, this afternoon. 12:25 this afternoon. Isn't that interesting? Nearly another 3.0 earthquake. Nearly. Then it calms down until after 1 p.m. 1300 hours on the left-hand side. But over here, now we're getting into I'm going to say 1:25 this afternoon. Okay? We go quickly from minor tremors into 2.0 earthquakes, and all of a sudden, now we're into 3.0 earthquakes here. This again looks exactly like what we saw over in Arkansas. What we've seen over in Imperial County, California, Bombay Beach, and what we've seen over at Mount Shasta too. Okay, this is a lot of seismic activity. Okay, now we're seeing 3.0 activity. Continue. 3:30 this afternoon here. Just about 3:03 this morning, or this afternoon. Okay, about 3:32, we have some tremor activity. It quickly builds into a 3.0 earthquake. That earthquake lasted about 10 seconds. 3 or 4 separate quakes, back to back within a second of each other. Then it dissipates into tremors and dissipates way out into a body wave. Then it waits until after 4:15. On the 4:15 red line here, over on the left-hand side, then we move over here to the right. Okay? About 4:21, 4:22 this afternoon. Again, we start seeing these little tiny foreshocks. Okay? Little tiny foreshocks, tremors, quickly build into 2.7, 2.8 earthquake, and that quickly builds into a 3.0. Look how long this earthquake sequence lasts. This lasts over a minute and a half. This seismic activity lasts about a minute and a half. A 3.0 magnitude earthquake lasting a minute and a half. That's a great deal of shaking here. Okay? This is in Missouri. This is at the heart of Missouri, the heart of the New Madrid Fault. The heart of the New Madrid Fault. And it continues, guys. This continues. I want to show you Guam, Missouri. Guam, Missouri. Look at this. Long-lasting tremor activity and some earthquakes here. This is this morning in Guam, Missouri. Over on this red line here in the center, okay, this is after 4:15 this morning. Here in the middle, it's more like 4:20 this morning. The seismic energy is building up in tremors. It quickly builds up to at least a 2.5 magnitude earthquake. Then it dissipates and it's more like a 1.5 tremor, and that tremor continues until it gets to a 2.0 earthquake, then it totally dissipates very quickly over about 30 seconds. The secondary wave lasts about 30-40 seconds and dies. You see quite a few other tremor sequences on the line above it in the black. We don't see the full quake here because the red line absorbed all the color and obliterated the black. But down here below it, you see these tremor sequences here, building up to earthquakes. Down here this morning, okay, this morning after 10:45 this morning, actually 9:45 this morning, okay, nothing happens for the first 2 minutes. 9:47 this morning. Then it starts building. We see a tremor sequence. That tremor sequence lasts about 2.5 minutes. That's when the 3.0 earthquake happens. You don't see the bottom of it for whatever reason, but you see the top. You see it reach up high here. That's a 3.0 earthquake. A 3.0 earthquake. And you see these other sequences here too. Okay? Now look at the bottom of this. This is where it's very interesting here. Okay? Look at this. They turn off the seismograph. Or the seismograph. They turn off the seismograph. And let's see what happens with the seismograph. They turn it on, and all of a sudden we have earthquake activity. Then they turn it back off. It's hit and miss seismic activity, huh? Because they turn the machine off and turn it on. Hit and miss. This happens for 2 hours. 2 hours that they have this thing off. Okay? Meantime, we have a 3.0 earthquake and some other tremors here. This is Guam, Missouri. Guam, Missouri. This is this afternoon. Okay? They turn this one on, back on at 12 noon. Okay? Nothing more happened until after 12:15. Over here on the right-hand side, there's another tremor sequence. And then, after 12:30, there's another tremor sequence. Then over here at almost 2:01 p.m. this afternoon, we have another 3.0 earthquake, don't we? Then it dies off. That 3.0 earthquake lasted for about 3 or 4 seconds. Look at the earthquake sequence here. Look at those spikes. Look at those primary wave spikes. There's 3 or 4 of them. Okay? But look at the other tremor and minor earthquake sequence here. Okay? Over here on the right-hand side on the red line here. Okay? This is again after 4:15 this afternoon. Over here on this red line here, this is more like 4:25 p.m. this afternoon. We have another 2.7, 2.8 earthquake. Not quite a 3.0, but a 2.7, 2.8. The rest of these are tremors. Okay? Folks, this is on the center of the New Madrid Fault. All these earthquakes in Missouri are on the center of the New Madrid Fault. I don't know about you, but folks, this is where the New Madrid Fault will act up. This is exactly where it will act up. Now I can go over to the east side, to Mississippi. Let's look at this. This is Vicksburg, Mississippi. Okay? The top of this is 12 midnight. We move down here. Okay? We go down to about 9 a.m. this morning. We have a bunch of tremors here, don't we? There's tremor sequences all over here this morning. Late morning. Nothing much happened all night long, but then later this morning, stuff starts building up. Vicksburg, Mississippi. Okay, this is the southeastern side of the New Madrid Fault. Isn't this interesting? Okay, you can't make this stuff up. I find it very hard to believe. I find it really hard to believe. It's incredible. The center of the New Madrid Fault is moving. The center of the New Madrid Fault is moving. Let's go over to the southwest side of the New Madrid. This is over at DeRidder, Louisiana. DeRidder, Louisiana. Up at the top, we don't see any activity happening. The only activity we see happening is after 5 a.m. this morning. Some very, very minor tremors hit. Before that, it's just probably nothing more than microquake activity. But then the seismic activity continues. This is nothing more than tremors here. This is Louisiana. Southern Louisiana. This is on the New Madrid Fault, ladies and gentlemen. The entire fault is moving. The entire fault is moving, guys. For just a second, let me close that down. We'll come back. Okay? I want to take you back to the USGS map for just a minute. I want to show you something. Okay? Look at what's happening here. Please look closely at what's happening here. Okay? This is the New Madrid Fault. The center of it is over there in Missouri. Okay? The northeastern side of Arkansas butts up against Missouri. There just happens to be some volcanoes up there as well. Okay? Yes, we have some volcanoes up there in Arkansas and Missouri. But this is the entire New Madrid Fault here that we're talking about. Why is New Madrid getting so busy? Why is New Madrid getting so busy, guys? USGS doesn't show us any earthquakes here, do they? The seismographs don't lie. What is going on? As I've explained before for several years now, since we've been talking about the New Madrid, the Atlantic plate out here. This is the Atlantic Ocean showing on this particular slide here. The Atlantic plate is pushing the North American continent, south-southwest, including Canada and the United States. The Atlantic plate is moving us south-southwest and pushing there, and it's pushing. It's putting pressure coming from the east on the New Madrid fault. Putting pressure on the New Madrid fault. Then, over on the west, what do we have happening here on the west coast of the United States and Canada? We have a subduction process happening, don't we? A subduction process. The Pacific plate is moving underneath the North American plate on the west coast here. It's moving under it. It's taking a deep dive into the earth here, which is a mountain building experience for the west coast. A mountain building experience for the west coast. It's building mountains here as it takes a deep dive underneath the North American plate here. In doing so, that's putting an extreme amount of stress on the west coast, up and down the entire fault lines of the west coast, including the New Madrid here. Remember we've talked about the New Madrid? We talked about the Pacific Northwest, haven't we? This is the Pacific Northwest, where we have the Cascadia going on here. Yes, we have earthquakes out here. USGS didn't show us all the quakes. Heaven forbid that they'd show us the truth. We've proven that the agencies can't tell us the truth. They don't know the truth. They won't release the truth. Okay? Here in the Pacific Northwest, today, this is Quilcene, Washington. Quilcene, Washington. This is a 1.1 tremor at Quilcene, Washington. It appears there just happens to be a lake here. Guess what? That's where this quake happened. Right here beside this lake. There's a huge fault zone here. A huge fault zone. It's coming out of the Puget Sound here. Okay? Right here, this waterway coming in from the Pacific Ocean here. This is the Strait of Juan de Fuca. The Strait of Juan de Fuca here. Okay? But we go north. We just had an earthquake off the northwestern coast of Vancouver Island here, British Columbia. This is on the Juan de Fuca Fault. This happens to be a 4.1 moderate quake up here on the Juan de Fuca Fault. Okay? The Juan de Fuca Fault is this red zigzaggy line here. This large red zigzaggy line here. Large, long, zigzaggy line is the Juan de Fuca Fault. To the right of there is the Cascadia Fault. The Cascadia Fault. The Cascadia subduction zone. This is right between those two faults. Okay? This is not the place to have an earthquake like this. Now, 3 years ago, Christmas Eve 2019, in this same location where this 4 is, Christmas Eve, late Christmas Eve, after 11 p.m., Christmas Eve night, we had four 7.0 earthquakes in this same location. 4 of them, side by side. We reported on them. My buddy Terry and I, at the time, we were on our knees praying. We were on the phone together praying that this was not going to be the start of the Cascadia megathrust earthquake. It could have been 4 major earthquakes in this region, this same area. Unreal. That was a very long night. We prayed to the Lord mightily that he would stay off the Cascadia Fault. So far, it has not happened, and I pray it never happens on a Christmas Eve. But that's what happened here. There is a lot of energy coming out of Alaska right now, coming down the west coast of British Columbia. And it's going to be coming down here, down the west coast of the United States as well. The Cascadia seismic area here is heavy. I believe it's locked up. It's locked up. We have a lot of heavy-duty seismic energy here. It's locked up here up at the north. It's locked up down here. It's locked up down here near San Francisco Bay. It's also locked up down here around Santa Barbara and Los Angeles. Santa Barbara and Los Angeles here. There's a ton of seismic energy locked up here. We also have a ton of seismic energy locked up here in San Diego. And it's about to go. All of that energy is putting stress on the New Madrid Fault to the west. And it's being hammered from the east. That I can promise you. I have evidence of this. I have a lot of evidence of this, guys. Do you want me to show you the evidence I have of what's going on the East Coast right now, putting pressure on the New Madrid Fault? I can do that. I can very easily do that. I have a bunch of seismograms I can show you of what's going on here on the East Coast. From Virginia south to Georgia, including North Carolina where I live. Not far from where I live. In fact, let's go there. I want to show you what is happening. This is going to blow your mind. This is going to blow your minds. Okay? First off, let's go up to Virginia. Okay? I want to show you what is happening over in Virginia first. Okay? Over here in Mineral, Virginia. Look at this. This is nearly a 3.0 earthquake here in Virginia. Mineral, Virginia. This is on the Craton Edge. This is on the Continental Divide here on the East Coast. Look at this earthquake here this morning. Okay? Look when it happened here. This is a 3.0, 3.2 earthquake here in Mineral, Virginia this morning. Okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes. Okay? This happens to be 6:23 a.m. this morning when this earthquake happened. A 3.0 earthquake here along the North American Craton, the East Continental Divide. And yes, over here on the left-hand side, guys, we can take a look at this. Look what happened here. This is at 9:45 a.m. this morning. This is like a 2.9 earthquake. A 2.9 minor earthquake here. Other than that, there's just minor tremors and microquakes the rest of the time, before and after these earthquakes happened. Okay? Let me show you Mineral, Virginia this afternoon. There's not much saying, but this is this afternoon. Look at this. 2 more good-sized earthquakes, and some minor earthquakes here as well. Okay, the first minor earthquake. Okay, this is at 3:06 this afternoon. Just after 3:06, we have a 2.6 magnitude quake. A 2.6 minor earthquake there. Then we have a bunch of tremors, don't we? Then we come down here after 4:30. This blue line on the left-hand side is 4:30. We come over here to about 4:33 this afternoon. We have some 1.5 tremors. It builds into an earthquake. Again, we have a 3.0 earthquake here. Several of them. Not just one, but several 3.0 earthquakes. That's something. 3.0, 3.9 are considered to be small earthquakes, but they're significant. There's a lot of stress happening here. There's a lot of stress happening here, coming from the Atlantic fault, the Atlantic plate. Over here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.5 minutes later. This time, this is like a 2.8, 2.9 earthquake, nearly a 3.0. Okay? Then, nearly a half hour and a minute later, we have another 2.6, 2.7 earthquake on this black line here. Okay? This is 5:14 this afternoon. Then we have a bunch of small other tremors here. Minor tremors, but small tremors nonetheless. Okay? Look at that. That's this afternoon in Virginia. Okay? Let's jump down to North Carolina, where I live. Okay? Let's jump down here to North Carolina, where I live. Let's go over to northeastern Colorado, or northeastern North Carolina. This is Roland, North Carolina this morning. Roland, North Carolina this morning, guys. Look at this. This is verified. I made a bunch of phone calls this afternoon. I verified this. This is 3.0 earthquakes. These are 3.0 earthquakes happening for like 4 hours. Okay? 4 hours. Just after 8 a.m. Just after 8 a.m. And prior to that, at 7:03 a.m. this morning, there was a 2.8, 2.9 earthquake. Minor earthquake. Hardly anybody felt it. But these earthquakes that you're seeing here were felt. Times and Signs says the University of Memphis, Columbia University, Lehigh University in Pennsylvania, IRIS, and the U.S. Geological Survey installed many seismograph stations here in the epicentral area. Look at this. Robeson County, North Carolina. And yes, Al Sanchez is saying probably hard because some have been chopped. Yes, they were chopped. These were felt, ladies and gentlemen. These were felt. Times and Signs here says in the chat at 1:51 p.m. on August 23rd, 2011, a 5.8 magnitude earthquake centered 5 miles, 8 kilometers south-southwest of Mineral, Virginia, at a depth of 3.7 miles, 6 kilometers deep. Now look at this. This is Roland, North Carolina. You tell me what's going on. This is near the coast, guys. This is not even on the Continental Divide. This is on the East Coast. Very near the East Coast. The Atlantic plate is pushing the North American plate south-southwest. You can't make this stuff up. Look at this. This is this afternoon. Look at this, guys. This is this afternoon. The quakes did not stop. They continued. Isn't this interesting? I have never seen anything like this here on the East Coast. Just 1 year prior to me getting here, there was a 5.1 magnitude earthquake northwest of where I am on the Continental Divide. I showed you what happened after that 5.1 happened. I showed you the pictures of the damage from that quake. I went and visited there on the Continental Divide. I saw the damage and I saw pictures of the damage. I saw damage where the houses were thrown off their foundation by the 5.1 earthquake. Some of those homes was made unlivable. People can no longer live in those homes. There's such damage. We're seeing these quakes happen here. This is on what they call the deformed craton. The deformed craton. Now, while I'm showing you this, let's go over to Blakely, Georgia. Blakely, Georgia. This is south of where I live. This is about 500 miles south of where I live. Blakely, Georgia, guys. Look what's happening here. Again, this is after 8:30 this morning. Do you think there's some kind of connection? We saw it happen after 8 o'clock up in Roland, North Carolina today. This is after 8:30 this morning. Here, we're seeing tremors. Heavy-duty tremors here. Almost non-stop tremor activity this morning from 8:30 going through 12 noon here. Over on the left or the right-hand side at the bottom. That's 11:59 a.m. this morning. Let me show you this afternoon. Okay? Look at this afternoon. You tell me what you see here. Look at 12 noon. The seismic activity continues after 12 noon. Then it builds up to 2.5, almost 2.8 magnitude earthquakes. Okay? About 12:20 p.m. this afternoon. 2.8 magnitude earthquakes. Then it dies off for just over an hour. Then it comes back. Just after 1:30 this afternoon. Look what we have here. Earthquake after earthquake after earthquake. It doesn't stop. From 1:30 till after 6:15, almost 6:30 this afternoon, this evening. When I spoke with people this afternoon, they told me what was going on. So I continue to watch these seismograms come in. This is why I didn't start till after 7 p.m. tonight. This is why. We're having very strong earthquake activity here on the East Coast. This strong activity is caused by the Pacific Plate pushing on the North American Plate. That's what's causing earthquakes on the New Madrid Fault. And if you think this earthquake system is bad, wait till it moves east or west. Wait till it moves west over to the New Madrid. The New Madrid Fault is being squeezed between the west and the east. It's got seismic energy coming from the south. You tell me what you think is going to happen. The New Madrid Fault is getting ready to go. Yes, we may have large earthquakes here on the East Coast very soon. From looking at this seismogram, it may be sooner than later. This red line at the bottom here, over on the right-hand side, its top was cut off. Its bottom was cut off. I'm saying, folks, that this seismic energy was probably 4.0 earthquake. This was probably a 4.0 earthquake. No joke, guys. No joke at all. This is happening. I'm not joking. Elizabeth Panslav says something's got to give. You're right. USGS is not reporting this. USGS is not reporting this, guys. Look at that. No earthquakes at all reported on the East Coast today. I just showed you strong earthquakes up and down the coast. I've shown you strong earthquakes over in the New Madrid area. I've shown you strong earthquakes in New Madrid, Arkansas, and Missouri. It's going to get a lot stronger very quickly with this kind of earthquakes on the East Coast. North Carolina and Georgia. Things are going to be very interesting very quick. I'm just saying. I don't believe we have a long time. I verified these quakes today. these quakes happened. We need to be watching. We need to be watching very carefully. Folks, you need to share this program far and wide. Your friends, your neighbors, your family, and your extended family. We have a lot of EMA family up and down this coast. Please, folks, please prayerfully consider praying for these people here in the United States, on the East Coast, on the New Madrid, from far north up in the Great Lakes area, all the way south. And folks, I'm also going to consider the East Coast of Canada, because they're getting pounded too. I can't pull seismograms from there, but I certainly can show you seismic energy that's hitting there. Folks, you need to be ready. These earthquakes are happening. We have been asking for people to be prepared. We've been talking about emergency preparedness now for 4 years. April 3rd, it will be 4 years that we've been on the air talking about this stuff. You need to have a preparedness plan, whether it be for earthquakes or whatever it is. You need to have a plan on what you are going to do, what you and your family are going to do, come heck or high water. This is happening, and there's not a thing we can do to stop it. You need to plan and have not just a plan, but a way to get through it. You can't get out of it. It's coming. But you can survive this. This could be easily survived if you're careful. The people on the New Madrid Fault, however, guess what? The roads around the New Madrid Fault on the east and the west side, guess what? They're 2-lane blacktop, 1 lane in each direction. 1 lane in each direction. Those roads are going to be torn up by the earthquake. They're going to be extremely damaged from the earthquake. They estimate that over 220 years ago, actually about 213 years ago, that it was a 7.1. It could have very easily been an 8.0. A major earthquake, 8.0. We're talking over on the Cascadia megathrust earthquake of it being anywhere from 8.0 to 10.0, more likely 9.0. And that seismic energy is going to go all the way down south, being carried south by the San Andreas Fault. Folks, there is some major earthquake activity coming, and it's coming soon. I'm not lying. I showed you the seismograms. I can't alter those. I wouldn't even know how. I showed you that. That's the evidence. Folks, please, 1, get a plan. Write down the plan immediately. 2, make sure you have an emergency preparedness kit. Make sure you have food in your pantry. Make sure you have at least 6 months of worth of food. Food that you might be able to stretch to 6 months. If you already have 6 months, turn it into 1 year. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Didn't mean to cough in your ears. Turn that 6 months worth of food into a year's worth of food. Then into a year and a half. Then into 2 years worth of food, if you have it. Make sure you have water. Store water. Potable water that you can drink. Water that you can bathe with. Now, those people over in Ohio, I feel for you. People in West Virginia and Pennsylvania, I feel for you. Because your soil is contaminated. Your water supply may be contaminated as well. The people in East Palestine, their wells are contaminated. They know it. Their leaders are lying to them. They need to get out. They need to get out immediately. Don't move to Missouri. Stay off the New Madrid Fault. Get a plan. Get a survival kit, an emergency supply kit. Make sure you have water. Make sure you have water. Make sure if you can't stay in your home, make sure if you can't stay in your home that your camping supplies are ready so you can leave your home, whether it's camping out in your backyard or leaving your home completely and going someplace else. If you're going to bug out, make sure you have at least 3 routes to travel on. 3 routes to travel on, and mark those on a map. And have at least 3 different locations you could go to in case of an emergency. If you can't get into one of them, make sure you have at least 2 other backups. Camping places fill up rapidly, especially during emergencies. Make sure you have 3 routes to get out of town. Stay off of highways. They're going to have roadblocks on highways. Use surface streets as much as possible. You're going to have fewer roadblocks on those surface streets. Stay off the main drag, stay off the highways as much as possible. Use surface streets. Use a map. Mark the maps. Have a compass. Because guess what? These phones are going to become worthless. That I promise you. If the earthquakes don't knock down the cell towers, the batteries are going to die out of the cell towers. If the cell towers don't work, you're not going to be able to use this. Okay? This is going to become worthless. We've talked about emergency supplies, radio communications. We've talked about that. We're going to talk about that again this weekend. By Friday this week, we're going to talk about emergency survival, communications. Communications. We're going to talk about food survival very soon, probably within the week, if not sooner. Folks, I can't say this strongly enough. Make sure you get things together. This is vitally important. These earthquakes that I've shown you tonight are the worst that I've seen. Okay? Share this program far and wide. Now is the time to share this far and wide. Okay? Don't stop. Share it far and wide. Your neighbors, your friends, your family, your extended family, your social media contacts, and even the people you work with. Make sure you share this far and wide. Now is not the time to hide it. Now is not the time to forget about your family and your extended family. If you can, get hold of the people that were on our other channel. Ask them to come here. They also need to see this program tonight. They need to see this program that I've shown you tonight. This is vital for their survival as well. I'm not kidding about this. I couldn't be more serious. Get your stuff together. Get your stuff together, guys. We don't have much longer. I'm convinced of that. After today, I don't think we have too long at all. I've never seen the seismic energy as it is now. Things are building up. Tomorrow night we're going to be talking about Cascadia and the West Coast again. We talked about the West Coast, Southern California last night. I'm going to double that tomorrow night. We're going to go through the worldwide earthquakes. We've had quite a few earthquakes down in the South Pacific today. Okay, quite a few. I'm telling you guys, it's not over till the fat lady sings. But I don't think we've got a lot of time. I'm praying we do. Get things together and get it now. Okay? Now's the time. Before you go, also please hit the thumbs up button. Okay? We really appreciate it. Between last night and tonight, we've had nearly 400 people see last night's broadcast. Over 400 people saw last night's broadcast. Okay? Right now it says we have one person watching. Look at the people here. We have more than one person. Again, YouTube's lying to us. Again. Okay? Now, I have something positive that I want to share with you in form of a devotional tonight. Okay? I'm going again over into the New Testament. This time, 2 Timothy. 2 Timothy chapter 3, verses 15 and 16. They read, "And that from a child thou hast known the Holy Scriptures, which are able to make thee wise unto salvation through faith, which is in Christ Jesus." Verse 16. "All Scripture is given by inspiration of God, and it is profitable for doctrine, for reproof, for correction, for instruction in righteousness." These scriptures right here. You have these scriptures. These are profitable to you. Please read your scriptures. Mark your scriptures that are important to you. So you have things that you can read that will give you inspiration and give you hope and will help you build faith in Jesus Christ. I want to bear you my testimony that I know Jesus Christ lives. He is our Savior. He is our King. He is our elder brother. I know that. We love you. I love you. That's why we're here. We're here to share and we're here to help each other. May God bless you this day and always. I bless you right now that you will have the Spirit of God to guide and direct you in your search for your family, that you will have God to guide and direct you so that you can adequately prepare for what is coming. It's almost too late. We don't have that much time left. May God bless us. May God keep us. May God hold us in the palms of his hands. I bless you that you will have the Spirit of God to be with you, to help you. I love you very much, brothers and sisters. I really do. Share this program far and wide. Try to find those people that were on the other channel and invite them here as well. We need them. They need us. God be with you. God be with you till we meet again. If anything else happens tonight, we'll be back here to tell you about it as soon as we have the information, as soon as the information becomes available. Until then, I hope you have a blessed night. Get some rest. We don't have much longer. We love you. We care about you. God be with you till we meet again. Good night, brothers and sisters. Take care. Help each other and love each other. Good night, everybody.